I have a couple of questions I wrote down.
Oh, please,
I
God.
feel like you guys are going to have
please.
answers to. Number one, why is LA so Asian?
Because I think
Next question.
I think Welcome back to the movie with the most blades and running.
There was a lot of running. Was there a lot of running?
No,
There was
There's a
some
little bit of running.
There's a little bit of
Yeah.
running.
there was some
I would have
No blades.
expected.
No blades, though.
no
yeah.
blades at
No.
all.
Some guns, though.
A
Some-
nail
Not as
through a
advertised.
hand.
Some gun sprints is a better name.
Really cool gun too.
Gun sprint.
The
I
gun
like,
sprinter.
I
Gun
like-
sprinter.
I like Deckard's gun. It's
That's
cool.
pretty good, actually.
It's a cool gun. And
Yeah.
the gun from the beginning with the pistol with like 4 little barrels was neat.
Mm.
Blew a guy through a wall. It was sick. While he was doing
Yeah.
that,
Oh, yeah.
that test. What was
Pew.
the test?
The
The-
something conf. Void conf.
I put it in the Voight conf. Yes. Yes.
Still
Blade
got it.
Runner. We watched the final cut. One of us should have not watched the final cut.
Whatever, man.
Nick should have watched the dumber one for dumb people.
With terrible Harrison Ford voiceovers, apparently.
Yeah, there's 13
Oh.
voiceover moments in the theatrical release that were removed because Ridley Scott thought the audience was smarter than the studio did. So he was like, "Take him out. I don't want him in there." And Nick's like, "I don't understand the movie." So this is going to be another
never
episode
said
of
that.
of me. Should I read your exact words? Let me read your
boy.
exact words
Oh,
from a
boy.
couple hours ago. I never said that. Let's read them.
This is
Maybe
Get
you
'em.
can help me understand what TF happened in this movie. Those are your exact words on Discord 3 hours ago.
All right, well,
So this is going to be
You could have
another
rewatched
episode.
it since then, I guess, and
It's
figured
true.
it out.
I'm going to try
Here's-
not.
He didn't, but
here's what I did. I watched a 45-minute video talking about this movie.
That's long.
Half of the actual movie time, just to kind of understand what was happening.
That's so much.
And unnecessary. So
Well,
it
it
here's the
helped.
thing:
It
is
helped.
the plot of this movie is simple, but underneath the surface, there's a shitload of stuff. Like there's a lot, but the plot, like what happened,
Yeah, what? Yeah, what are you
is so
confused
not
on?
complicated. Deckard Cain hunts 4 people. That's the
I-
movie.
I got
Are
really
you
lost
confused
when
by like
he.
the motivation or like what's?
No,
yeah, what's
like
tripping
the
you?
the actual details of how he went from person to person and how he like knew to go places was really lost on me.
He just hunts them. It's his job.
He just hunts. He just
He's a-
knows.
he's a detective.
Here's
man.
this apartment. I should go grab some photos out of a drawer at.
No, he got that from something.
Well,
I
that
don't
was the other. That was the first guy's
The
apartment.
only time I got super lost and like struggled to put together pieces was when he had the little snake skin,
yeah. Well,
and he
organic
somehow
matter in the
traced
tub.
that back to.
Because he brought it to the lady that did the. He brought it to the.
I didn't realize what it was until.
What
He
lady?
brought it to like a shop lady who was like, "Oh, this is the
'Cause
kind of
she had-
snake." She
That's
told
the
him it
work
was
of
a
the
scale.
snake guy. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
then
they
she's
point
like,
him to the Egyptian guy.
Oh,
and-
she was a fish lady, so he thought it was a fish scale,
Mm.
and she's like, "Nope,
right.
it's a snake," and blah blah blah. So
and
that
only a
was
few
explained.
people could afford a fancy snake.
Yeah, because it wasn't real. Because a lot of
Right,
the
right,
animals
right.
aren't real. Because I think what it's supposed to be is like a super far future to Los Angeles. Well, far future took place 2019.
Old 2019.
But there's so much pollution that like there's not
Yeah.
so this is a
Well,
cyber
there's
this is a
extinction going on.
cyberpunk movie
and a noir, really.
and kind of a noir, but it was like the first. Correct me in the email via fax. First like big cyberpunk movie, because there's others that I've seen like Total Recall and Demolition Man, but like the themes are like nearish future, dystopia, technology. A lot of the themes are humans with like cybernetic stuff, so that's why like the dude's making eyes and like you can jump really far and whatever. And this one centers around the replicants, which are like they're synthetic people that are like stronger, faster, and they live only for 4 years, and they're used for slave labor.
Really cool.
Pretty much Westworld.
Yeah, it's kind of
Ooh.
Westworld is kind of
Yeah.
a similar vein. A show you
Yeah.
can no longer watch
It sucks.
That's so
I never watched
annoying.
the second season.
because they HBO would rather you never watch the show than pay their actors residuals. Literally, why that's gone. Eat the rich.
That's stupid.
Pay the actors and writers. So, no, this movie I think it's only like number 180 on the IMDb's top 250 movies. So it's not like this is one of those that's on the list for me because I had always wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And actually, I made this list, put this on it, and then in like January, got into a cyberpunky kind of mood and had to watch Demolition Man and Total Recall because I couldn't watch this.
Nope, had to wait.
2049 not on the list because I'm an idiot, but maybe we'll watch that next year.
It's really good.
Yeah, you've seen
I watched it in this passing just to.
Oh,
I did a
nice.
back-to-back
So you
feature.
watched
Yeah,
it
yeah,
again.
yeah. It was. Oh man, it's so good.
So the plot loosely is Deckard Cain, played by Harrison Ford, who is the best. Hunts down, is hired by his. I guess he was a whatever the replicant cop. Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
He was a Blade Runner, which involves no blades, and they never explain why it's called that.
Nope.
Do they explain in 2049 why they're called Blade Runners, Carl?
I don't think so.
Okay, so
No.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Good name.
It's a good name.
It's a cool name. And his job is to hunt. So sometimes replicants like defect and they try to escape and live normal lives instead of being slaves, which is noble. But we're supposed to hate that because we're on Harrison Ford's side.
Well, because they killed humans.
That's
in their
true.
escape.
They often do murders to escape because one of the hallmarks of replicants. So they do two things to separate them from humans. They do not have emotions, and they only live for 4 years. And then each generation, and in this movie, the one that Deckard's hunting are Nexus 6 models. They're like the most advanced ones. So they're actually injected with memories to where they can like feign emotion. In fact, the Rachel character, I'm not sure she knows she's a replicant
Not
until
beginning.
after she takes the Voight Kampf test. So
Yeah.
we're kind of introduced the first shots of the movie the first shot is just an awesome cityscape. I thought so.
Yeah.
This movie, plot aside, everything aside, for me, was my favorite movie that we've watched so far to look at.
Okay. Yeah.
It was my favorite visually.
Yeah.
Like I love I loved the shots in Pulp Fiction, right? We talked about that till we were in tears in the Pulp Fiction episode. So if you want to hear us like just obsessing over camera angles and not knowing anything about them, go back and listen to the Pulp Fiction and Citizen Kane episodes where we're like Dutch angle like for 2 hours. This one though is like practical effects and scenery, and I just really like
It's just very atmospheric.
Right. In Star Wars,
Yeah.
like the part of Star Wars that I liked and wish we had more of is in episode 2 when they're in the Coruscant underworld and like they're in the bars and it's just neon and it's kind of like, it's second class citizens. Like everybody else is up here on the upper levels and everybody else is down. Like I want more underworld stuff. And that's like what cyberpunk is. It's kind of like the underworldy,
The gritty underbelly.
underprivileged, gritty. Yeah.
There wasn't one daytime scene in this entire movie.
Nope.
It was
Yeah.
all
No,
dark.
untrue. Because there's the one scene during when he's giving Rachel
Sun is setting.
the Voight Kampf. What was setting?
The sun.
Yeah, and he has him draw the blinds because it was too bright in there to give the Voight Kampf test.
I'm just saying it was in the day.
It's daylight. Anyway, so no, I loved the one of my only notes when we were watching. I have Discord up. The vehicle design I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of had the
It felt old.
yeah. So that's the Star Wars principle of like so in contrast to Star Trek where everything is like clean and white and the doors go and stuff like that, which they do in everything. But you know what I mean. Like George Lucas when he made Star Wars wanted it to feel like a lived-in universe. And this has that similar feel where it's futuristic but dirty.
Yeah.
And there was
Star Wars too is a dystopian, whereas like Star Trek is utopian.
Right. And
So there's that distinction in
Star
the
Wars
style.
also is like Star Wars isn't people will tell you Star Wars isn't sci-fi, it's a space opera. This is sci-fi. Cuz like the most sci-fi you get with Star Wars is how's Darth Vader still alive? You know what I mean? Like and it has a laser sword work, but the plot is like operatic and
Yeah, it's more Shakespearean.
right, exactly. This is very much like we're grappling with the will they won't they of humanity of replicants is kind of the deal. So there's the dystopian nature and it's very very cool. So no, I loved looking at this movie. Every new shot I was like, "Oh my god, I just want to look
I
at
thought
it."
it was cool that instead of like Back to the Future where every car flies, only the like police officers and like the higher level people had flying cars. Everyone else was just regular on the ground to kind of push the point that they were all.
Yeah, he said it like
right.
if you're not police, you're little
but-
people.
Yeah.
Why? What did you think visually of it? Because you didn't like the plot either. This is going to be another episode probably where Carl and I agree and Nick and Danielle agree.
I thought this was boring.
Danielle was bored the whole
Okay,
time.
It was
you didn't
so
like the
boring.
pacing,
No,
or
I
just
just
overall.
overall.
She didn't like Harrison Ford's
I thought the
performance.
acting was wooden.
Well,
I
they
thought,
are all kind of subdued. They are all kind of like
yes, but
bland
then
performances to some degree, but that's also kind of noir.
It is noir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that that's an excuse.
Yeah.
The way that you took the movie in is valid. The way he took it in is not. No, I'm just kidding. The way
I agree
man.
with you, Dan. They were
just kidding.
all the performances
So-
are kind of flat. There's not a whole lot of character development.
right.
Like,
And
yeah.
I don't even and like I know they're supposed to be like non-human, like robotic things, but I feel like there still wasn't like a spark of then like excitement or mystery. I feel like if the characters are going to be very kind of like one-dimensional, then there
So-
needs to be something else to kind of add that like
I think the spark that happened that you may have missed or not taken as a spark, right, is Roy, who's like our main protagonist, or antagonist, although the lines of protagonist and antagonist are blurred in
They're
this
very
movie
blurry, yeah.
because of the good guy could be the bad. It depends on your point of view.
Right.
So
Yeah, the
Roy,
good guy's a paid assassin, really.
right, Roy's the blonde guy at the end, right? And
Yep.
so he's the last replicant that Deckard faces. There's a point of the movie where he goes and weasels his way into a meeting with Tyrell. Tyrell is the kind of the big boss guy who makes all the replicants. We're with him at the beginning. We see him a couple times. He meets with Tyrell, and his goal behind that meeting is essentially like, hey, I need you to help myself and Pris, another replicant, live longer. Because I think Pris was really close to the end of her life cycle, and 4 years is only 4 years. So he was like, hey, you need to help me live longer. And then Tyrell's basically like, nope, it's so in your code, we can't make that happen. So at that point, Roy and all of the 4 replicants, I think you have a note in this part, kind of.
Maybe.
We're going out of chronological order,
Yeah.
but I don't think chronological order is necessary for this movie like it would
No.
be for a Godfather. I think it's fine to just kind of
Yeah.
go off. Roy ends up killing Tyrell, and he kills whatever the other guy that builds tiny people. What's that guy's name? Jeez.
He was
JF.
weird.
Yes,
Sebastian?
Sebastian. He ends up killing them both because he has before that point, Roy's purpose is, his motivation is, we have to live longer. And without that, once he loses that and that's ripped from him, he becomes like aimless, essentially. He has no goal and he goes insane. That's when he starts like just
Howling.
howling and like his body starts decaying. He like runs a nail through
actually
his
losing his
hand, and
mind.
he's because he loses that focus. I don't remember what the original point was, but
You're saying
the-
that was the emotional
The spark.
yeah,
spark.
that's
I mean,
as much emotion as you can get from a species in quotes that is designed to be
not-
emotionless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an existential crisis.
And then
This is what bothered me
They
about
have
that.
another crisis with Rachel, who thinks she has memories, and that's why the test takes so long. It takes 20 to 30 for previous generations, and with the Nexus 6, she took over 100 questions for Deckard to figure it out, and it's because she listed memories that were not her own. They were Tyrell's niece's memories. So then she has a crisis in front of Deckard with like, oh my god, not my memories aren't even real.
but I feel like even that just
I,
I don't know. She didn't. It was just kind of like, I don't have
Yeah.
memories. I have terrible hair, but I have no memories.
Well, and the interesting
Can I forget
interesting
this too?
part.
Yeah.
yeah.
The other interesting part from that scene is Deckard tries to withdraw that. He tries to walk that back and goes, I was
Yeah.
just joking. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a
So
bad
then-
joke. No,
then-
seriously.
Then you
Yeah.
have Deckard, like a non-replicant,
maybe.
maybe,
Yeah.
feeling like he offended a replicant. So maybe he's questioning his whole motive.
Yeah.
Because they maybe just got a little bit too human for him to do his job, and we have that again with him after Rachel saves him from whatever that guy's name is,
Yeah.
and the cop guy's like,
Leon?
"You have 3 more to kill," and he goes 2 more, and he goes, "Nope, Rachel's
Rachel ran
missing,"
away.
and that's actually before Rachel saves him. But Rachel ran away. You have to hunt her down and kill her too. burp. So that's there is a little bit of that, but it is hard.
They don't play it up as well. It's more subdued.
Yeah, I don't think it's I definitely
think that's just a genre thing.
It is some of a genre thing. I also just don't think it's a perfect movie. But I think
they had to recut it like 9 times, right?
I think there are 7 or 9 cuts of this. Most of them are not available, but they're in 2007 when the final cut was released.
Minor.
There was kind of a director's cut onward. They're minor.
I do wish I'd kind of done some research as to what was different.
Well,
in
there
each
are differences from
but there's so many that I was just like, ugh.
There were differences from the European theatrical release to the American. The European was slightly more violent, which is interesting because it would be the opposite now. And then the director's cut, removed the commentary. You may actually want to watch the original one. It's slightly shorter. The unicorn scene that's confusing isn't in there. There's all the voiceover.
I still don't know what that was.
All of the, all the text we got that kind of loosely explained the replicants and all that stuff, like on screen text. Yeah. All of that is different in the theatrical release too. Huh. They changed quite a bit. How? It's just it explains things just a little bit differently. I think it assumes less knowledge because you kind of figure things out by going through the movie in this cut. And to be fair, the reason we watched this cut is because everyone on Reddit said to, everyone I know in person that has seen the movie said to, and it's Ridley Scott's favorite version of this movie.
Okay.
And I don't think, as far as Ridley Scott movies go, the only other one I've seen is Alien, and I think Alien's a better movie than this.
Your original question to me was how I felt about
the
stylistic scenes.
Right.
I do.
You took quite a detour.
Yeah, I know.
Well, because she brought up the plot, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I did also appreciate, I can appreciate that. The world building was cool. The neons were very cool. The practical effects still look good.
The lightsaber umbrellas.
Those are funny.
Cool.
It's how can we make umbrellas futuristic? Make the poles shiny. It's so funny. It's just and then the Visiphone or whatever, the television, and it's oh, that's real. The phone booth but it's just here in our pockets.
It also had some go ahead, Carl.
I was just saying, is this where the enhance came from?
Oh my
is that
no,
where the trope came from?
X-Files or CSI,
I literally,
one of those forensic kind of shows.
One of my notes is literally, oh God, not enhance.
So you know what was interesting about that interpretation though is when he has it pan. So he literally has the camera
he can see more,
move around objects to see because when he sees the it's not Pris, it's the other female replicant. She's got the tattoo on her neck.
The hot one.
Zola, whatever it is.
About names.
The one that Deckard kills, the female that Deckard kills in the street before Rachel saves him from the other replicant whose name isn't important.
The Lady of the Night.
Yeah, so she she's in the bathtub where he gets the scale from, but she's obscured by a wall or a pillar, and then he's move left. And it's I only caught that the second or third time he did it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool because that's impossible. And I really like sci-fi technology that's impossible.
You know what that is?
What?
That's the Apple Vision Pro.
What do you mean?
You can record video on the new headset, and he can just move around in real life. It was telling the future. Never mind, I love it.
I could tell. I could kind of sense will this scene end? But I'm like, this is the coolest. I just when we sit with a piece of technology that's impossible for
it's a cool concept realized too soon, with dated tech. It's that's not how that would look now, but it's
for me it was
what they had. So it's
the generative fill in the Photoshop beta, but to an extreme sense.
Yeah.
Generative fill didn't work for me. I was really sad. All I had to do was add some trees. I just needed some trees.
I used it for the Godfather 2 thumbnail.
Ooh.
No kidding.
Yeah. Put his little vape hand in there.
Nice. Oh, that's nice. Did you have another thing you were going to say or no?
I was just going to bring up the super cool 80s synth music.
Okay, yes.
Oh my
that's
God,
the one thing I will
say.
Amazing. I didn't like
really?
it.
I liked it a lot.
So there were parts of it I liked. So there's one scene, I think it's when Deckard's actually going through the photos and then he's drunk at the piano. Whenever the soundtrack had real piano in it, I loved it, but the synth stuff, man, I don't like the 80s synth sound, and I think
just too flat, kind of like Scarface's.
So for me, it's how in the 2000s we jumped from film too early and we went digital too soon with movies. So there are those early 2000s to 2010s films that are just unrestorable because they were just filmed in 480p and they will look like shit forever.
Damn.
That to me is like what we can do with synth technology now is incredible, and MIDI stuff. Like I used to play guitar at a church for 1,000 years, and for the last couple years, I used simulated amps. I played guitar. I used amp simulators. So I didn't have a real amp for the last 3 or 4 years, but they sound pretty much identical unless you are like a super nerd and have like thousands of dollars for amps to AB. No, I'm not that bad. I'm just like, this is good enough because it's $600.
Whatever. I listen to music with Cameron, and he's over there counting on his fingers somehow.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's called being a music director for like half a decade. I can't help it. But no, I think with synth it's just like we leaned really hard into like, oh, this sounds like the future, and it just kind of aged.
Well, it's just the cues.
Yeah.
It's just like, something's happening. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't take it seriously.
Yeah,
like,
maybe I'm misremembering with 2049 synth music, but I feel like I liked it. Just felt very of the time, like it was made. Like it just feels very charming.
Yeah.
And
What
kinda,
is
very of the time.
but like 80s to me. Still burping. We should really stop drinking beer during this. 80s to me sticks out like the sore thumb in between the fingers of the 90s and the 70s, especially when it comes to soundtracks. Which the 90s,
the fingers of the.
if you did it doesn't work. The middle finger, the crass middle finger between the index of the 70s and the ring
Between the hand
90s.
and the palm of music and.
It's a stupid analogy. Dumb.
I'm very
Yeah, how
lost.
far do we go?
I just think that I think I can take both the 70s era films and 90s era films as they are more readily than I can take. But the other point I made for Danielle is because this is before Return of the Jedi. This came out because Jedi was 85.
we looked at it last
Who
night.
cares?
Something
Whatever.
like that.
This is 82, so it's before he filmed the third Star Wars movie, and it's just like there. I remember in the Empire of Dreams documentary that's on Disney Plus that everybody should watch if they're interested in Star Wars. They talk about how when George Lucas was making Star Wars, like orchestral scores were out, like they were on their way out, and disco music was like popping in the late 70s. So Star Wars like could have had a disco soundtrack, and it probably would have fell flat on its face. But George made the old-fashioned and out-of-fashion choice to choose the orchestral music that was on its way out. And when he did that, he made the movie freaking timeless. And that is not a choice Blade Runner made. And I think that it just ages itself out in a way that A New Hope
I think
will
that has
never,
to do with the genre
ever do.
too. Because he's doing space opera, more Shakespearean, so you have to kind of lean traditional with the music. I think since the story is more like culturally.
The counterpoint to that would be he invented space opera. There wasn't such a thing.
Yeah, but he didn't make the executive call, so he kind of knew inherent that he would have to kind of change a little bit.
And I don't know if he did that with the foresight. I'll call him up.
Send him an email.
George.
Let's see what he said.
But I don't know. I there were parts of me where I was. There weren't. It pulled me out every time. Every time a synth hit, I was like, dumb.
I didn't really notice the music at all.
Really?
I think
That was
Well, you only got
aggressive.
some
we're
ear.
music people, though.
That's true.
it's true, but also
Nick's
I
only
think,
got one ear.
Yeah.
I think subconsciously I was just going, "This is an old movie. I don't care."
An old movie.
I had a point
Coming
though.
off of Gone with the Wind. This
the
is
only-
an old movie. This movie's like 40 years younger.
The only part I noticed the music was the very on the nose, like strings in like the romantic scenes between him and
Romantic
Rebecca.
with quotes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was going to say,
Rachel.
Carl's point in that, and I don't think he's wrong
Rachel.
for this. Because Deckard has a weird scene with Rachel where he's like,
Yeah.
every scene. Was
kiss me and ask me to kiss me and all this weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it was
I
like,
thought he was like
I
teaching
wrote like
her.
he gets consent.
I was gonna say,
but
he wanted consent.
I think
Now
it's
say
a
I
weird way of
consent to
getting it.
this.
I think that's
Yeah.
what I think that's the right way to think about it. Like, because it does kind of come off as like,
Kind of creepy.
It's a
yeah,
little
but he is
creepy.
kind of like
And
walking her through it
in a
and,
2023 light,
yeah.
but also he's walking a non-human being through emotional response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it could kind of be him like trying to pull the little bit of humanity that replicants do have out, or trying to get her to trust or
and
something.
she had more than the others. Like she supposedly had more emotion
So
because she had memories.
there's that, and she was also a slave in a different context. Like they were manual. The other four are manual labor, working on an off-world colony kind of replicants, and she was a secretary.
Well, one was a companion to some degree, but yeah.
Yeah, so she's got the most like cush in quotes.
Yeah.
Because they're all slaves. Like they're all, I mean, programmed. It's interesting. It's kind of the same.
Yeah, that's my kind of like, why do you want this programmed slave to be more human than human? Why is that a selling point?
Well, I think the selling point of more human than human was their like strength and
they're playing God.
Yeah.
One of my
it's humanity playing God. Go ahead.
Just one of my notes early on in the movie was like when they were getting too hard to control, and the corporation guy was like, "So we made them more complicated," and I was like, "So you gave them more memories and more emotion to make them more easy to control?" And then how do they take care of them? They take more
replicants to go track down the replicants.
Right. Well,
it's like, why does that make sense?
That's an interesting point.
It's like it's a real hair of the dog solution.
Is Deckard a replicant? Is the whole thing, and in the final cut, one of Ridley Scott's points in the way that he cut the movie is he wanted to. So in the theatrical release, there's an extra bit of movie after the elevator doors close on Rachel and Deckard, where I think there's a studio mandated happy ending, where I think it implies. I haven't seen it. I should have looked
clips
it up.
of it.
Did you? What did they do?
It was like the two of them in a car driving through like an open field. They actually used, because it was the same license or the same people, they used clips from The Shining. And it was like mountains and hills and like open road, and they're the only car on the road, and they're driving, and he says something. Do you know what he says?
No.
He says something along the lines of like, "I know she'll last more than 4 years because whoever told me that she had a longer death date or whatever.
Yeah.
But it could be whatever. Like we all die anyway, so we might as well try to love each other."
Yeah. So and Ridley Scott's kind of reason for shortening it or cutting one of the things that he wanted to do with the final cut was maybe like implant in our brains. Maybe Deckard is like some weird kind of replicant, if he is one, that can reproduce and have kids and make for a sequel. That was his like sequel plan. Do you know if he was involved in 2049? I realize we all have rectangles.
I think he was very hands off. I think like he basically, I can't remember who did Villeneuve.
Oh, that's right. Yep, the same guy that did Dune.
Yeah, so he did the new one, but from what I've heard, like very hands off, and it was like, only if you need me will I come and kind of help. But like from like pound for pound, I feel like the new one has more beautiful shots. The music's better. It seems like the characters have more.
40 years later, yeah,
right, yeah. But it's like I've kind of equated it to like comparing it to like Rogue One versus A New Hope. It's like I really like Rogue One. But does it really contribute a whole lot to the overall story? Not really. We kind of know what's going on.
It's supposed to, right? Like,
right. But it's kind of the same way where it's like it kind of borrows and kind of continues from like themes that we know and are familiar with, but it kind of takes them in a new and like breathes new life into it a little bit. But it's not like doing anything too groundbreaking. But it's still very beautiful to look at.
That's why Rogue One is the only like Star Wars movie after 2005 that I will actually watch, because it does a good job of filling in a gap that didn't need to be filled in a way that it's so in between two movies. Like this,
it doesn't like hurt or help. It's just like this thing.
Well, and it allows for like basically all new characters. Aside from literally the best Darth Vader scene in all of Star Wars. Shout out to Gary Whitta who wrote that movie.
Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't. I've only seen it once in theaters.
The very end when it's dark on Tantive.
Always seen.
Comes out.
Oh my god,
it's the best.
So good.
And I believe Gary Whitta had to fight really, really hard to get that scene in the movie. And God bless him.
It's so good.
Shout out to Gary Whitta. So no, really quick. Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds?
Gosling.
Really?
Wait, do you mean who's in it, or what do you? What's the question?
Which do you prefer?
Oh.
Who's your favorite Ryan?
Who was in the movie?
No, who's your favorite
man.
Ryan?
They're so different.
You have to pick a Ryan right now. Which one are you going to hold hands with and run into the sunset?
Gosling.
I feel like Gosling has more
Gosling.
variety.
What the heck? Am I stupid?
You're making me pick. I don't want to pick.
I've had more exposure to Gosling recently.
He was in Barbie.
That's true. We've seen him shirtless in Barbie.
Notebook. He was in Drive. He's in like he's.
You know what he wasn't in?
Versatility.
You know what he wasn't in?
So
Brokeback
charming.
Mountain. Right?
Yeah,
Neither
Ryan
was
Reynolds
Ryan
wasn't in it.
Reynolds.
Neither was
Yeah,
Ryan
who was the
Reynolds.
other guy then?
Deadpool's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger
Oh
and
shoot!
It's
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal. No, in
I
your
thought-
defense, Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Gosling are the same in my brain. I can't separate them. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
No.
Yeah.
It's just two white boys
Okay, hang on.
that do the same.
No.
Because they're both
one's
the
blonde,
emotional.
one's brunette.
Well, they're the
It's a whole
most-
different.
they're-
It's a whole different
but-
game.
But it's just emotional movie white boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like at least Ryan Reynolds is in like more
I feel like-
comedic
Wait,
side.
I'm so confused.
Ryan.
Ask your question again.
Ryan Gosling,
Ryan Gosling.
Blade Runner, Barbie.
Yep.
Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool,
Deadpool.
and what's that one
Crap.
movie with Sandra Bullock?
The Proposal.
Great movie.
That's harder, but I'm still going Gosling.
I'm picking Reynolds, and I think it's because I'm attracted to the wit.
I just like Ryan Gosling's like little like flirtatious little charm he has in his movies is so good. It's so
See,
cute.
I want
It's so
Ryan.
cute.
I
He's
want,
got range. I feel like he's got more range.
I want Ryan Reynolds to call me like an asshole, but like in a cute way.
See,
which
I
is
don't
the
want
thing
that.
he
I don't
can-
want that. I don't want that. There you go. That makes sense.
I don't know. I think it's gin commercials are funny. I don't
Reynolds
know.
may be more fun to hang out with.
I've also never
The,
seen Deadpool, and it
The Mint
didn't make
Mobile
the list.
commercials.
You haven't
are
seen
also pretty good.
Deadpool? Oh my god, that's
haven't
an
seen
amazing
Deadpool.
movie. You got it. Yeah, if
You-
you like Reynolds, you got to.
It's rated R, and Jesus wouldn't like it.
You should watch it.
That's true. Yeah, never mind.
We're going on a trip. Watch it on the plane.
If it's on the plane,
That's
I'll
what I've
watch it.
done. I've only watched Deadpool movies on airplanes.
We'll hold hands.
Yep.
Figure it.
Why is that the requirement? Time to. We're about to get to the sky.
You know what I do on airplanes? This is what I did.
Deadpool.
This is what I did for my transatlantic flight to London. I put my headphones in my ears and listened to Meshuggah for 8 hours
Oh my god.
Oh man,
because I'm not normal.
that'll change you.
Well, we're watching Deadpool. So
All right. Well, hey,
There you
he
go.
has spoken. We still don't know how we're gonna do an episode during that week, but we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Blade Runner. Let's talk about.
So, do you guys think that he was a replica or not?
I think no, because
I also
if
think
he
no.
lives to 2049,
That's the thing is
Oh,
knowing
wow.
there's a sequel
True.
kind of throws
Kinda
a wrench
ruins
in that
that.
engine.
unless there's like a plot
But
twist.
they did kind of admit. I think they kind of. Yeah, there's some hints that like he's been bioengineered to live longer. Like, but and there's one theory that
Well, that's
he's
the whole thing
actually
with Rebecca.
not. He's got the memories of the guy that does the origami. That he was actually the origami
Yeah,
guy
I
was the
didn't
actual.
quite catch the whole origami thing, or so the unicorn dream was cut from the theatrical release, and he added it back. Ridley Scott added it back in, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know what the unicorn.
Apparently,
like,
Ridley
well, there were
Scott's got like a
multiple-
thing for unicorns.
is
Like
he
it's,
a unicorn?
it's like a motif in multiple
is
movies.
Rachel the unicorn replicant for him? I just don't
Here's-
understand.
What?
Or is he the
you guys-
unicorn that gets to live for longer?
You guys know me, and I would never come to this conclusion. But the theory I read was that the unicorns were symbolic because what's the guy's name that has all the toys that he made?
Sebastian.
Yeah,
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
So he has.
P.F. Chang's.
There's a lot of unicorns. There's a lot of unicorns around that guy, and he has like the toys or the mannequins or whatever. He has a unicorn in there. So the theory is that he somehow played a part in creating Harrison Ford's character as a
Interesting.
replica.
Because he did work on the replicants.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I just feel like people are looking into it too much.
Well, but
I think so.
I think that's the point of the movie.
but
though.
I guess people do that with every movie.
That's the point. I think this movie just has a really thin level of tinfoil in the plot,
Yeah.
and then the point of it is to scratch that away and kind
Yeah.
of come up with what you think the movie means, which is why it's
I don't think so. I don't think he's a replica. I don't
replicant.
replicant.
I don't mean to
Whatever.
correct you, but you said
I'm saying
replicant.
it. I'm
You
saying
said-
it wrong a
You
lot.
said replica twice now, and
Yeah.
it makes me want to kill myself. So
and
replicant.
Rebecca. It's Rachel.
They're the same.
It's
where's
not-
Rebecca?
They're not the
All right.
same.
Harvey Dent.
I,
I love that movie, even though Batman sucks. Go ahead.
I'm losing my train of thought. I don't even know. I don't think he is one of those things that I can't say.
A mutant.
A replicant. Because
One of
the
them
whole movie
cloners.
revolves around him kind of coming around on him, I think. Or
Yeah, it's
realizing
interesting 'cause
that
he does have an emotional response to replicants.
especially there at the end.
But is that emotional or is it informational?
Hmm.
Is it
I
an
have a hard
emotion?
time dividing that line too.
Yeah,
Between, like
'cause-
where does emotion stop
And
or
where-
where does emotion start?
Right. I think
because it's some things are just rational responses, and it's like, well, when does the emotion actually come into play? You know,
right,
it's
because
like,
rationality has nothing to do with emotion because that's what gives us Spock. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Right.
purely data-based data point and data in Next Generation. So I don't know, but emotions are what give us our humanity. But also that's why I think the movie's kind of a good movie. Is because there's so many. I don't
like,
know.
could somebody without
It's
emotions like a movie, or is that like tied to emotion, or can you be rational and be like, yes, this is objectively a good movie? Like, could where does
know.
it start? Like, that's where I get kind of fuzzy with it, and I'm like, I guess you just have to kind of take
and especially
whatever
with,
the movie presents.
with some of the movies on this list, we're like predisposed and kind of handcuffed to. We picked the greatest movies of all time, so we can't say this one sucks except for Gangs of New York because that movie's stupid. But like
It was hard.
it's hard to watch Casablanca going in knowing this is one of the greatest movies of all time.
I don't think so. I haven't
You
had.
don't think so?
Well, I have had no issue saying that some of the movies that are considered the greatest of all time are terrible.
Well, yeah, because you're heartless. I'm just kidding.
I am. I'm a replicant. I have no emotions.
True and real.
That's
no,
false. I have so many
Listen,
emotions.
if one of the two of us has no emotions,
You. Oh my god. I don't remember what I was gonna say.
I don't either. But no, it's
It's gone.
Probably a false memory anyway.
It's just fake.
Someone else.
I'm fake, guys.
It's your niece's memory.
I don't have a niece.
True. Neither
Then it
do
must be a fake
I.
memory.
It has to be. That's how fake it is. It's fake.
Wow.
So here's
Goes deep.
here's my Harrison Ford point that I alluded
Okay.
to. I think pre-show or during. Who cares? Carl, what did you say? His personality, but not. That's not.
It just-
what was the word you had?
I said that he just never seems like he has any fun. Like, he just seems like he's miserable or like all
In
the
every
time.
movie.
Like,
So-
does Harrison enjoy anything?
So
Like, what-
remember in Return of the Jedi, the 6th and also the 3rd Star Wars movie, where Han is talking to Leia about Luke and is like, I get it, you love Luke, and he's kind of bummed out and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's his demeanor in all of Blade Runner.
Mhm.
It's the
why
quieter,
it's-
bummed out Han Solo.
Boring.
And it's very interesting because, like, I think also on a level, Harrison Ford is one of those actors where you're watching a Harrison Ford movie and he's just going to be Harrison
Yeah.
Ford. Because, like, Indiana Jones is not that different from Deckard, is not that different from Han Solo.
Right.
For me,
Solo's more sparkly. And
well,
so
Han
is
Solo's
Indiana than
scoundrelly. Deckard is a cop. Cops are always,
He's more cynical.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is
He's just
he's
kinda
a
like,
history
"Meh."
boy with a whip. It's crazy. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, Harrison Ford is one of those actors like Tom Cruise and like Nick Cage, where you they're not chameleons.
Yeah, you get like varying degrees of them.
Or Heath Ledger, for example. Like watch Heath Ledger in A Knight's Tale and watch Heath Ledger in Dark Knight, and you've got like this dude that can do. He's
Oh,
got
you're saying
wide
he's
range.
not that way.
No, Heath Ledger's not that way. He's
Okay,
not a
I
Heath
thought
Ledger.
you were saying
He's just like Heath Ledger.
I was
He's
like,
no,
what?
The Knight's Tale and the
He's
Joker,
always Heath in
same
every
character.
movie.
No,
Yeah.
no, the total opposite.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
Alright.
like Heath
Like Daniel
Ledger's like
Day-Lewis can transform.
exactly like they and I think that's maybe just method acting versus
Maybe.
Al
yeah.
Pacino transforms.
Yes.
That's true. Like Al Pacino and Michael Corleone versus whatever Scarface's character's name is.
I love those movies.
So different. Harrison Ford's not like that. You put Harrison Ford in a movie because
He's
you want
Harrison
Harrison
Ford. Yeah.
Ford in a movie being Harrison
sense.
Ford.
All right.
And I happen to love Harrison Ford. So, and Burt Reynolds is the same way. Like there's tons of actors like that. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the actors that are like that, interestingly, are like the A-list hallmark actors. Like Tom Cruise is just going to be a
Yeah,
short
their
ass.
whole
and
life
every-
is kind of the performance.
yeah.
Like, where does this rank in as far as like your Harrison Ford movies?
Oh, like.
Or did we already go over that?
No, but I think
Okay.
like obviously as far as characters, it's third. But
Yeah.
I've only seen 3 Harrison Ford characters, so it's hard to say.
That's pretty
but-
much the 3. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait,
Like for
what's
me,
the-
Han Solo, number 1, of course, Indiana Jones.
Air Force
and,
One,
And
yeah.
then I haven't seen Air Force One.
I have seen Air Force
Get off
One.
my
Good
plane.
movie.
Is it better than Blade Runner?
Yes,
Do you put- okay.
100%. 100% better than this
Did you
movie.
enjoy this movie at all?
I did enjoy it. I
Did you have fun watching it?
I had fun. I enjoyed it. I actually thought it went by really quick. I mean, it was only 2 hours, so that's quick compared to
Yeah,
some of the
compared
stuff we've
to
been
me.
watching.
There's not a lot of
it's an
fat in
hour
this
50.
movie.
Well, I think
Yeah.
in the 80s they really figured out like, hey, we don't have to make these movies so long.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions I wrote down.
Oh, please,
I
God.
feel like you guys are going to have
please.
answers to. Number 1, why is LA so Asian?
Because I think
Next question.
I think.
Am I wrong?
Right off the bat, he's just
So
Everything.
I think that cyberpunk as a genre draws from Asian influence quite a bit.
I think there's a lot of Asian culture in LA too, though.
And
like,
there's a really
I've been there.
No, there
it's
is.
not that Asian.
there was
Well,
a really big
certain
technological
parts.
yeah like yeah it's I think
Alright.
I think cyberpunk as a genre draws from anime and
And maybe
stuff.
he lived in Chinatown. We don't know.
True.
Yeah, I think that's a cyclical
So I
relationship
actually-
too.
That's
Maybe he
interesting
lived in Chinatown.
That's interesting that was your thought, and my thought was actually I wrote this down. Like I love the Asian influence in this movie.
I didn't
thought
not
it was
like it. I just
awesome.
didn't understand why it was there.
Yeah.
Go on.
Next question.
Maybe
I
we'll
get that.
cut that out.
Question
Next
two.
question.
Nah, we're gonna leave it.
Why? Roy was the main
The bleach
replicant's
haired
name.
blonde, yeah.
The
Okay.
last guy.
Why did he stab a nail through his hand?
So his hand, from what I understood,
It was
his-
atrophying,
His
I'm pretty
hair,
sure.
his hand curling was his hand atrophying, and I don't know if like we're supposed to think that him like driving a nail through it was him opening that hand up like by false means, because
Ew.
like
Well, pain's gonna wake you up.
yeah.
So like I think that's just like he's like, okay, I can still feel it. Like I'm feeling something. It's still
Yeah.
there.
Something like
So I
that.
think it
That
was just an
makes sense. I never
extreme.
thought
and
about
I
that.
don't know if there was like supposed to be a Christ parallel or something
Yeah.
with that whole deal. Like,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
didn't think
smart
about
enough
that.
to draw those conclusions.
God,
I'm
how
just
did I
like,
miss that?
Cool neon movie is neat looking.
Yeah.
Like,
Man, can you remember when Kylo was hitting his chest to
shut
make
up.
himself feel more?
No.
Yeah, it's not
Stop it.
similar situation.
Stupid
That's
movie
what
made by dumb people.
Question three.
Last question.
Well, there's only 3. I wanted
so-
there to be 8 of these.
I mean, I have another one, but it's stupid.
No. You
All
gotta
right,
read it.
second to
we
last
can cut it
question.
if we don't like it. Yeah.
Hang on, let me say.
Dan Harmon's top 4 Blade Runner questions, starting with
Okay.
I'm out of beer and I'm sad.
How?
Sweating. My sister stole the box fan that we use off camera because her house doesn't have AC right now.
It's a little toasty in here.
Oh my God! In Florida.
Yeah, during hurricane season. Go ahead.
Third question. How? This I kind of know the answer to this now.
Just read it.
How did the main guy die? I'm not reading. I am reading it.
Roy.
I wrote.
You mean
Meg-
Roy
I
at the
wrote.
end?
How did Roy die? Was he a dove? Which I don't.
Because he had the dove at the
I-
end. Again, I don't know if there's some kind of like purity or Christ deal with that, but I think he just.
I think
So-
he
Did he
expired.
become a dove?
He did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
He expires, but he also like the whole what's kind of unclear for me, and I think it's supposed to be unclear, is his turnaround. You know, because he snaps because he loses purpose, but then maybe the closer to death he gets, he's like, well, I can't.
He's like,
kill
I
him.
want
Yeah.
I want more time.
Yeah.
Is his whole thing.
And so why would I rob this guy of time if it's the one thing I want? This guy being Deckard.
Man, I should have pulled some deeper.
Yeah, like,
big,
how can I
big
hate him
life
for having a
meanings
sense
That's
out
the
of
of
this.
thing.
You
movie.
love
That's why I
meaning.
thought you would like
Dang
this
it.
movie, because this whole movie is
It's about running out of
It's
time.
very existential and what if and the implications
Yeah,
of
it's
like what
every-
does it mean to be a human?
everything can be read into. But you just were like, oh, good.
Maybe I'll watch the director's cut or whatever.
Well, no. Well, the director's cut is it's dumber. It's literally dumber. The director's cut is a cop movie about a guy catching 4 replicants. This
yeah,
is
I don't know.
not.
That watching
I did-
it
Or
again
not the
is gonna
director's
do
cut. The
that
theatrical
much, but-
release is
Yeah.
the director's cut and final cut only really I believe have CGI differences. Like they updated some of the special effects for the final cut.
If you want more, Nick, I'd say watch the new one because
We'll
it kind
all
of
watch- we'll all watch
continues
it.
that story.
Do we want to watch it next year? Add it to our 175,000 movie long list for next year.
What month would that be though?
Who cares? I don't know if every month needs to be themed. We'll figure it out.
We'll get there.
What's your last
My
question? That
fourth
was
question.
stupid.
Sebastian. He had his toys around the table one night, and one of the small guys had a ball gag in his mouth, and I just didn't understand why that happened.
I thought your fourth question was going to be, why were there no black people?
Why would I say that?
Because there were no black people.
doesn't
I kept
sound like
thinking about
anything I'd say.
why are there
First
no
question sounded
black
kinda
people
like
in this
that.
movie?
You're
But
right,
then there was one in the background. I was like, that's it. I want more black people. I hope
It was the
2049
80s.
is all black people.
It's not.
Ooh.
There's one I
It's
can
not.
remember.
Here's my question. Here's why at the height of a battle, the one replicant with the bad hair with the terrible wig.
Pris?
Yeah, Pris. She has Harrison Ford on his knees. He's about to
Nice.
lose the battle, and she's like, ha ha, ow, backflip away, and give him ample time to get a gun.
So Pris is
And then, she's just like, I'll do 7 cartwheels.
I think Pris's whole deal. I was watching a
like,
video that
why?
said that Pris is the shallowest. She has the least deep meaning. Like she's the most surface level replicant because
It's like, you're supposed to be smart.
well, no, Pris
He was like
is,
the physical companion
Yeah,
for the soldiers,
she's
right?
just-
She was the sex doll.
she's
No,
the
I
sex
thought
doll.
the other one was.
No.
Because she was the one that was in the club.
She's the show person, but Pris is, I believe, the sexuality. Like she's the Westworld of the.
That's
of
why she
the
was able to
replicants.
like manipulate what's his name to get into their house and all
Right.
that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, she
so
was the ugliest
She's just
one.
doing
Mm.
flips to be flamboyant, and
Oh,
how
fun.
sexy are cartwheels, right?
How about when
Apparently,
she
maybe that's how
almost
she'll be-
murdered a man with her thighs?
It's
When
sweet.
he had his head
And
in
like
between
fish
her.
hooked him by the nose.
I also
Like,
loved the I gotta hide garbage. Sounds
Garbage.
cool. crazy.
Fun fact though about the flip scene where she spoilers dies and he shoots her. That scene inspired a scene in Kill Bill.
Really?
Tarantino said that scene where she's like flailing on the ground and like going crazy inspired the assassin in Kill Bill that doesn't have an eye when she gets her other eye ripped out.
Okay. Pause. You know it's the same actress. That's the same actress.
No way.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same actress.
Oh
Pris's-
my.
Pris's eye
God.
patch.
I'm with
chick
you,
from
Nick.
Kill
I'm
Bill.
feeling real dumb right now.
Are you kidding
Oh
me?
my god.
Because Danielle and I are like, she looks familiar. She's got to be.
Well,
in
I
the-
saw her name and was like, oh, Dara Hannah. She's in.
Yeah, it's the same actress.
That's insane. Well, that makes that
Wow.
fact even cooler.
Okay, go on. I had to stop. you.
No, that was it. That was the fact that inspired the scene where she gets her eye
That's
ripped
really
out and
cool.
she loses her mind, like flailing on the
Yeah,
ground.
I mean, of course, this is 20 years before Kill
Wow.
Bill, but yeah, it's the same actress.
I didn't know that.
Super cool.
That's crazy.
just blew
I just
my
watched a
mind.
documentary on Quentin Tarantino.
Really?
Nice.
What was it
Yeah.
called? Feet, and more feet?
Dude, there's another movie that's like way more feet than the ones we've watched, and I
10
think it was
toes,
like
10
the car
movies?
one.
Yeah.
10 toes, 10 movies. Maybe that's why the 10s come
There
into play.
was
Well, he says he wants to do 10 movies, so he's got 2
Yeah.
more.
Two
One
more.
more.
He's got
One
one
more,
more, unless
one
you
more.
count Kill Bill as 2.
nah.
I think you do.
Yeah.
No.
You count it as 1. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 is 1.
Yeah, but they
Okay.
filmed it back to back. You know.
Yeah.
I
He's
can't
got
remember,
one
but
left,
his-
which I can't
his-
imagine that kind of pressure.
Nick, if you haven't listened to it, his Two Bears One Cave episode. Is,
I
is
started
worth-
it,
it's-
actually, a
It's
couple
worth
days
listening
ago.
to, and it's actually why it's one of the reasons why the list exists.
Oh, okay.
As I heard that, and I was like, God, I gotta watch these movies.
Hmm.
Let's kind of do our ratings because we're
Should we do hot points first?
let's do
Hot
hot points
points.
first. Let's do
yeah,
hot
yeah.
points
All
first.
right.
Good call,
So
good
here's
call.
my hot points.
Who's up for points?
Harrison Ford, of
Harrison
course.
Ford's character.
Just him? Okay.
Of course. Yes,
No
just
Roy?
him. No
Okay.
Roy. 0.
All right.
Damn.
So I almost forgot about hot points again until Harrison Ford did this, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, shit, he loses a point for that."
No hot points until we can go low.
So as we know, we started a 5 and we add or subtract, right? So when
Yes, we
Harrison
know.
Ford goes, "I made a bad joke. I'm sorry. Go home." -1. And then later on when he goes, "You ran out on me while I was being so charming." -1. I was like, "Ew." And then his weird, like the weird kissing. I was like,
Weird kissing
Oh,
was,
yeah.
it was,
Ew,
it was
-1.
rapey.
so I think, what is that?
Yeah.
5? So 3?
2.
2.
Two, that's a
So
two.
Minus
he's at a
3, yeah.
2.
Scale out of
Jeez.
5 or 10.
We started at 5 and we add or subtract. So I guess it's out of 10, yeah.
Jesus, 2 out of 10.
Which Harrison Ford as a person deserves better than a 2. But this
well, just
character,
so physical attraction doesn't weigh in at all. Then in this instance,
That's why he starts at a 5.
there's no explaining the hot point scale. It's
I think
just-
that's fun. I
Yep.
think that makes the scale.
if
better,
I have a
actually.
visceral reaction, if I have
love
a
that.
visceral reaction either way,
Yeah.
that's
Deckard-
what the hot point is.
Deckard gave
Hotness
you the
is
ick.
visceral.
You
It's
know?
not, yeah.
It is a
It's a
gut.
fluctuating thing.
and
yeah.
it's unfair by nature.
But just his,
Yeah.
I
And
was,
shallow.
He's still handsome, 8 or 9 out of 10 or whatever, but yeah, hotness can fluctuate.
this.
and I think it's also
Yeah.
about the character, not necessarily the actor. You know?
That's actually yeah. That's like it's like the opposite of separating the artist from the art. It's like the art,
Yeah.
the art more,
the purest.
Yeah.
form
turning
of
up the
it, yeah.
art dial.
yeah.
A pure.
The art dial.
Because I don't know if
Kill
Robert
me.
Redford would be as attractive without the like gritty cowboyness, you know? I mean, still attractive,
Yeah.
but
And
the
having
gritty
the best
cowboy
hat
was
in the
great.
movie helps.
Exactly.
Good
Yeah.
movie,
So
better than this one. All right, let's do hit mid or miss. Imagine a stinger and a cool song. We'll never have one. Yeah, not a frat horn. Judas River. Why don't we do like either Nick or Danielle, and then either me or Carl, and we'll stagger positivity with negativity. Let's start with Nick.
I'm gonna go mid.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5, let's say, imagine it's stars. What star rating are you giving?
We
it?
said we weren't doing stars.
No,
I
but
haven't
like
thought about this.
But your hit mid or miss scale was whack last week, and that's how we're going off of it. So, is it
on a scale of 1 to 5?
Yeah. 3?
2.5.
Okay, so mid then.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a good mid then. You said mid, right?
Yes.
Okay. There you go. So he's mid. What's Carl?
I think it's a hit.
Yeah. Why? Just briefly.
Well, I mean, just visually, it's like
Cinematography.
obviously a masterpiece. Yeah, no, cinematography. I didn't want to do it.
I just want to hear it.
No, had enough shots already. But I mean, I think there's some clunky dialogue. Like the guy's like, "Prepare to die," or "I'm gonna kill you." And it's like, okay,
but
there's
that's
some,
the 80s.
and there's some, and you kind of have to chalk it up to the time period it was made. But I think the score is beautiful. I think it brings you into the world. Well, I think the world building is fantastic. It just feels like a real lived-in place. And I think the themes are interesting, and we can talk about it ad nauseum. So
Yep.
yeah. So I think it's a hit.
Danielle, hit mid or miss? Full miss or
miss?
Full miss.
Full miss for me.
Why?
They miss.
You were bored.
I was bored. I didn't really felt like compelled to care about any of the characters.
You were like not.
I thought the
having a good
dialogue was
time.
bland.
I kept looking at you, and it was taking me out of the movie
I'm
because
sorry.
you were so bummed
I
out.
felt bad because I was like,
I want to watch this movie
I
again
know.
by myself
I'm
when you're out of
sorry.
town, so that I can like fully just go like full Harrison Ford hard on for this movie.
I
But
felt bad because I was like, he's so excited about this one, and I just could not care.
out
less.
of all
like
of the movies in the
the
list,
score was
You were
bad.
excited?
I was almost the most excited for this one.
Wow.
It's Harrison Ford, man.
Yeah.
You asked me if I wanted to watch the theatrical cut just for a difference,
Yeah.
and I was like, no.
Would you watch 2049?
Only because of Ryan Gosling.
Jesus Christmas.
That's fair.
It's really good.
It's fair.
I'll give it another chance.
I'll say for me, it's a hit purely because, like, I understand there are not plot weaknesses, but plot shallowness until you scratch that stupid surface. I'm going to say that a million times. I'm never going to say it again. There's my scratching finger. But like, even visually, like, she asked me last night, like, where does this rank? And I initially said top 3 movies we've
Which
watched
is
this
just
year
wild.
because I just
No way.
loved.
No.
I
We've
loved.
seen Godfather 1 and 2 and Pulp Fiction.
Okay, but Godfather side, like, then it makes top 5. But like, I feel like Godfather's not even fair because obviously those are like 2 of the best movies we've
It
watched.
was hard to watch
I
this.
think
coming
this is
off
a
of
more
Godfather.
beautiful movie than Godfather. Though. The
100%.
stuff they're accomplishing in camera.
This is my favorite movie to look at that we've watched, and for that alone, for me, it has to be a hit. Like I loved,
Okay.
but I really like props and
Yeah.
practical
Stuff I don't pay
effects
attention
and
to.
just like cool. Like I'm like, oh, I wonder how they did that, and it was a really pretty movie. So for that, I really loved it. I had a great time watching it. It's a hit for me. So we're 2 hits, a minute, and a miss. The full gamut, as we call it.
yeah.
Just now?
Full
It is
spectrum.
not a certified big room banger.
It is not. But
Sorry,
you know
Blade
what?
Runner.
We've got to taper
Wah,
off from The
wah.
Godfather. So
Yeah.
It was hard to follow up it was so dramatically different than The Godfather.
all right, we're about
Yeah.
at an hour, but we've got 2 things left to do. One of them is talk about Nick learned how microwaves work yesterday. Go.
What?
Listen.
Oh boy.
Okay. I didn't.
Well, can you come fix mine?
It probably needs more water.
Oh my God. So
So I
how
don't.
did that start? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't. That's what I was just trying to think.
We were talking about something.
I.
We were talking about candles burning down houses.
Oh
and you
my
were-
God.
Yeah, Nick was like, well, can't you just put a
Oh,
candle?
because of the hurricane?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I was talking about this one time because someone we work with is writing a blog post about candles or something.
Yeah, for a candle.
And I was like,
planet.
oh, you should write about how this one time I couldn't find a
lighter.
lighter.
Yep.
So I was wondering if I could just put a candle in the microwave and the heat would light the wick.
And then Cameron said, do you not understand how microwaves work?
To which I said, I've never thought about it.
Microwaves work by heating up the water molecules.
This
in
is
your
important.
food.
This is important.
Microwaves work by microwave radiation, heating up the water molecules in your food, making them vibrate, and that makes hot happen.
False. That is not what you said.
What?
That is what I said. That's exactly
You
what I said.
said everything except you said it's the whatever heating up the whatever, and then when you said water, you just said it heats up the water.
Okay.
You didn't
heats
say
up
in the
water
food.
in the food.
You didn't say in the food, so I went. There's water in microwaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I supposed to put a cup
And
of water in there with it?
Well, and
Well, I was like, how do you change the water on your microwave?
and then he
Is
got
there like
mad.
a drain plug?
He got mad at me and Carissa for knowing that. He's like, "Well, you guys just
I-
looked up how
he-
microwaves work." I said, "No,
I know Cameron. He's watched
We're not all
documentaries on
mechanics.
how microwaves work
I
for some
have
reason.
watched an hour-long YouTube video. Shout out to Technology Connection on how microwaves work. But no, I learned that in science class in our Rebecca curriculum. Do you remember that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I learned
I
that.
don't
And
know.
Carissa was like, "Yeah, science class."
I never thought about it.
And Carissa also grew up in West Virginia, so
Yeah,
I think
well,
you just
she went
whiffed
to
that.
school here, so
You maybe had a little too much DuPont water that
that's
school
true.
day, 'cause,
That's
yeah.
100%
It's
true.
it's kind of not your fault that you're dumb. I'm just kidding.
But on a level,
Wow.
On a level.
on a level,
Let's pick a movie, shall we? I think it's my
Was there
turn.
anything else to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
No,
Right?
there wasn't. You just said we had two things.
The
so
bucket. The bucket's the
The
next
bucket
thing.
was.
Can
the
you
second
shake this
thing.
for me? Do a good mix. Get your hand in there.
Wow, we're running low.
Well, we're over halfway done. It's August. It's not August. By the time you listen to this, it'll be September.
I'm
Do
rigging.
you remember?
Truman
Carl,
Show.
I got older.
No.
Yesterday, I got older.
Happy
I'm
birthday
28.
to
Oh, boy.
you.
Oh god.
I'm
Oh
I
no.
don't know what this movie is.
Oh boy.
Lawrence of Arabia.
No, I know what that is. I pulled The Departed.
the Departed.
What the hell is that?
Oh,
That's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Oh, well, those are
And
good
others?
actors.
I like them.
I think it's a crime drama, so it should feel pretty nice.
Yay! Another crime drama.
I swear to God, next
Haven't
year,
seen one of those in a minute.
next year we're
Yeah.
gonna do more.
I feel like half the movies.
We're gonna do more fun.
Oh,
slash-
Leonardo.
Oh, it's DiCaprio.
That's DiCaprio.
Your boy.
Wait,
who
who
I
am I
don't
thinking?
Hey.
like that much.
Jack Nicholson.
Oh, well, he's lit.
You like him?
Me and Danielle are having the same experience, probably where we're scrolling through
Well,
images.
Yeah.
can you pull up the wiki
Are those
or
other guys
IMDb?
in it at all? Where did I get that from?
Here we
Do you
go.
want me to read it?
Affleck, Damon, any of them in there? Why don't
Yes,
I?
Damon's
Y'all-
in there.
yeah, listen. Okay. Can somebody read the plot synopsis?
All right. South Boston cop Billy something goes undercover to infiltrate the organization of gangland chief Frank Costello. As Billy gains the mobster's trust, a career criminal named Colin Sullivan infiltrates the police department and reports on his activities.
So it's another cop.
It's another
crime.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson,
Okay.
and Mark Wahlberg.
Mark
Okay.
Wahlberg.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark Love Jam.
Wahlberg.
Hey, can you find out if she's eating the ticket
Hey.
or not?
Oh,
She's not.
She's
eating.
next to
no,
it.
it's on
Yeah,
the
I
other
see
side.
it.
She's
I see
eating
it, I
her
see
foot.
I throw the
Ah,
tickets on the
Phoebe foot.
ground and there's dogs there.
There's
All right,
dogs
well,
there.
there you go. We're gonna watch the Departed. Apparently, a
Departed.
Boston classic.
It is 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How long is it? That's important.
2 hours and 31 minutes.
That's too.
It's
You know
on
what?
Netflix.
You know what, America?
Oh,
Nice.
Dub. What?
We need to have shorter movies. I'm tired
Yeah.
of this shit. Why are
That's a
movies
lot
longer
of
than
long
2
We
hours?
should watch TV shows instead.
Toy Story was an hour and a
That's
half,
the
and that was a
opposite.
masterpiece.
Yeah, but you get 30-minute sittings.
Yeah, but
Hour
then
sittings.
we get through a show every 4 years.
I love that.
That's awful. I
I
don't
love
want
it.
to do that.
I want to be
What-
emotionally invested.
Well, here's the thing. Like the problem with if we were to do a show podcast is that market is dominated by people doing podcasts who are in the shows that they're doing the podcast about.
That's true.
So it's just like
Yeah.
They don't know that we're not in the show.
We like the show too.
yeah, and
We'll pretend like we're background
yeah,
extras.
it's like Office Ladies, literally, and
All the Disney shows.
all the
have-
Disney shows.
Parks and Recollections.
What's the and the X-Files files with Kumail?
Yeah.
Although he wasn't in that, he just loves it. So.
I'd be a
He's famous.
celebrity.
Well, I guess we're gonna watch that crap. I don't know. I'm not excited. Could you tell?
I could tell.
Not excited. I don't like DiCaprio. I
Ours
know that's a
are-
bold stance. I think
Well,
he's
your
stupid.
only DiCaprio movie is Gangs of New York. So
No,
No.
Django.
Django.
okay, all right. You're
Which
right.
he was great in, but he's a villain. I want DiCaprio on my side.
He's
I
a
wanna,
great character actor.
I want to like a DiCaprio movie where he's on my side. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe this will be the one.
Because what I came out of Django liking was Christopher Waltz, which means I gotta watch Inglourious Bastards.
You're gonna
He
like
was
Where
it.
the
he's not on
doctor?
my side.
You might like it when I make you watch Shutter Island.
Yeah, you're gonna make us watch Shutter Island.
Shutter Island's a good movie.
Yeah, that's a spoiler for January where we're gonna watch. We're doing like more themed months. There's not a list.
Rah.
There is a list, but there's not a list. And we're gonna watch our favorite. Everybody's gonna bring their favorite movie for January.
I don't know
and
what my favorite
one of them
movie
sure
is.
Danielle doesn't know. I know, but I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a few. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no spoilers except for Nick. Just
Like,
cut it out.
Sorry. No.
Well, there you go. That's there you have it. Kind of. We'll try to get you out of here before an hour and 20 minutes.
woo!
And get you in an hour. But you know what? It was The Godfather.
It was
what
The
can
Godfather.
you do? What can you do?
Which, speaking of The Godfather, I've been watching Gilmore Girls again recently.
What
Oh,
is the
yeah.
segue there?
No,
Because,
so
you'll find
it's
out
Godfather, and there
in
was
a minute.
deep cut reference.
That I now understand. There's a line in the movie where show, where Lorelai goes, saying yes to lunch with my mother is like saying yes to a ride with Clemenza with him in the back. And I was
Wow.
like,
Good deep cut, but you get
Good,
it, right?
good
Get it.
reference.
Gilmore Girls kind of like I hate that show more than Life, but and I hate Living. No. But their references are kind of S tier. They're
that
never admit
show's
it.
script is so much pop culture. Like,
It's really good.
If you
All
ever
right.
seen who the writers were, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, why are they putting Godfather
Well,
references in
The
there?
writers hate you because that show sucks.
what were you gonna say, Nick?
I'll never admit it, but I'll say it on the podcast. I kind of want to watch that show just because of you.
You would understand. Like, you would be like, like in every episode.
It'd be a good speed dating card. I love Gilmore
I
Girls.
love it's true.
You know
Is
what
it
I mean?
funny
No,
at all? Is
no,
it-
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no. Hey, Carl,
Yes.
Carl, do you think it's entertaining to listen to arguing?
Not really.
Great show
Maybe.
if
It's a
you
lot of
love listening to arguing. All right, hey, listen, my bladder's full of beer, so we gotta go because we promised to not make you sit here for 20 more minutes. So we're gonna watch Shutter Island, I guess.
Shutter Island.
Wait.
Departed.
The Departed.
Whatever, we're gonna watch that.
Bum bum bum.
DiCaprio, whatever. He drowned in Titanic. It was probably great. All right, and we will catch you in the next one.